go to the depths of hell in every pillar of your life in order to get where you want to get.
Masculinity is nothing more than integrity and self-love.
I didn't want to be fixed. I wanted someone to hold me and just be held.
If you really knew who I was, would you still love me?
Shit has to get bad before we actually change.
The gold coin for most men is, am I good enough and will people still love me?
When someone says they want something, are they really willing to do it? I want to respect and honor the pain that you're in. Welcome to the Burnup Podcast. My name is Adam Nugent. It's a pleasure to be with you. We're here in our new studio. We're still getting it set up. We've got some barren shelves behind us, but nevertheless, we're here to record and bring you some good content. I'm really excited today. I've got Bryan Hurd with me today. Bryan, thanks for joining me.
Yeah.
As we get into this, I got to let you know how I got to know Bryan. Bryan and I got to know each other here just a few months ago. I didn't even know Bryan. We were at a marketing event here locally, and you came up to me and said, hey, I've been following you on social, and was just so warm and so inviting. And we kind of hit there. You know, we met at a couple other, social events. Then you invited me, went and did hot and cold plunge. And as I've gotten to know you and like your story and what you're doing, you do a lot of work with men, and didn't realize how many, men you've actually taken through your program, over 160 is that, called the Evolution Project, which we're going to get into that. But he's just a good dude, and his heart's pure, and he's been on his own transformational journey. And we're going to talk about a lot of things, but first and foremost, Bryan, thanks for being here with me today.
Yeah. Adam, a lot's gone into today that we didn't even know about.
Yeah.
That's my favorite. One of the things I've been doing lately is I've been doing what I call strings of gratitude. So in the moment, I just take a breath and I think, what had to happen in order for this moment to happen? And then so first off, I'm like, oh, well, we had to come to a podcast studio. But I kept stringing it back. And it's like, well, how did I meet Adam? Well, my friend Pat told me, brought it up. And then I was like, Facebook. And then, so I started going on these things, and I started realizing there are so many things that had to happen in order for me to be here with you today. And I just want to be present with you and see where this goes. I'm really excied because I have no idea where we're going to go today. And I'm buckle up.
I have an outline or a couple ideas I want to get into, but what I found, doing this, it's really, we kind of take the conversation where we go. And we went hiking here recently, and you shared some personal things and things you've been working on. Bryan's, part of the board of realtors here in Salt Lake City, and been in real estate for how many years now?
21 years.
21 years. Yeah.
When I say that, I'm not old enough to do that, but it's true.
So Bryan, let's actually jump into the Evolution Project.
Yeah.
What is it? You work with men. How did it start? What do you do? Take us through what that looks like.
Yeah, great question. So I'm wearing my Evolution Project t-shirt by design today. And part of the reason is I tell people that the Evolution Project is an inward compression for an outward expansion. Now, when I first say that, people are like, what are you talking about, Bryan? And I believe kind of the way it works. If you look at this logo right here, you can see on the white, you can see that it this compression going down. Someone also looked at it and said, it looks like the belly of a whale. I thought, well, that too. And then you get to this middle ball here in the middle, and I say, that is the most true core of who you are. And I love what Jesus said. He said, I am right. That's what his explanation was. I am, right? I am that I am. And, as men, we want to say, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a business owner, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm this, I'm that. But when you really get down to it, the most pure thing that you can say, it's your presence. It's who you are at your most core. And the Evolution Project, we want to compress down to who you really are and strip out all of the armor and the layers and the mass of who you think you are, but you're not actually that person. Those are just ways you describe yourself, right? And then if you look at the logo, the black, it goes out. And I believe that every time in my life that I've done the work where I've had an inward compression, the real work, the caves, the hard parts, the stuff you don't want to talk about, the stuff we want to avoid, I want to avoid, right? What I found is usually after the work has been done, there starts to become this great outward expansion of self because we have a new identity, a new narrative, a new way we see ourselves. And we start to operate differently in the world because our I am has become more rooted in who we are.
I love the word that stuck out the most of what you just said was compression, right?
Yeah.
It's the pressure. Before we started recording, we were talking about, the good, the bad, the hard, the ugly. And, my belief is everything is positive.
Yeah.
Everything. And it's this story attached to it, but the reality is growth or expansion, if you will, can only happen through uncomfortableness, through your word, compression. And then what you said afterwards, right, is all of a sudden what comes from the compression is then expansion.
Totally.
And, I believe that we're at 100% capacity all the time. When someone says, I only got 20%, no, you're at 100. Whatever you're doing in any given moment, we are at 100% capacity. And if we want more of whatever, money, pleasure, physical health, more of the good, the quote unquote good stuff that we want, it requires the letting go. It requires the release. The compression has to kick in to release, to squeeze out what's not working. And it's painful. It's uncomfortable. You want to avoid it. Right. But the reality is, in order to make space for what we want, we have to let go of what's not serving us.
That's right. And I always say nature. So I have a cousin that's an engineer, really smart guy, like PhD guy. And we were having this conversation one day and he said, do you know a lot of times in engineering, they will look in nature for how nature does the thing. And then they will try to mimic, whatever they're trying to do in nature. And he said, so like a couple of years ago, they found out that sharks, like they just swim through the water like so quickly and everything, right? So they started to make these body suits for swimmers that mimicked the shark's skin. And they started breaking all these records. They actually outlawed these shark suits, right? And but the method of that is we look to nature. Well, think about expansion and compression in nature. Okay, well, let's just take your human body. Your lungs expand and contract. You breathe every day. That's all it is, right? I'm expanding. I'm contracting. My heart, guess what it's doing? Pumping blood all the time. Boop, 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 right? Think of when a woman gives birth. Contractions. And what does it do? It dilates. It gives birth to life. These, God does the magic trick right in front of us. And we just think it's like so complicated, but it's not complicated. These principles are true principles, right? It's compression, expansion, like you talked about. I mean, your muscles, what's happening when you work out? You're compressing, right? You're breaking the muscle down, actually, is what you're doing. And then you're building new, right? But it's all happening without you even thinking about it. Your body's doing all this stuff all the time. So like, I think it's so interesting when I say expansion and contraction, or contraction and expansion. What I love about that is like, I'm just trying to bring awareness to something that is so ingrained in every person. We just step over it because we've been doing it our whole lives. When was the last time you thanked your heart and been like, man, heart, thanks for doing a good job and pumping blood and keeping me alive today? We don't do that. We just take it for granted,
Yeah. Yeah, so much is, coming up. So is you're inviting men into the Evolution Project, right?
I was going to say, I haven't even talked about the Evolution Project.
No, but again, you were talking about the logo and kind of like what it is, but like, I mean, again, I've seen some of your marketing things you've talked about, right? You're like, of course it's worded and explained in a different way, but high level, why have the men, I mean, you've done 18 now, is that what you said? You've done 18 retreats. Why have the men said yes? And what are some of the experiences that you take them through?
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about their, stripping away to get into who they are.
Yeah.
Right.
So, when a man says yes to come to the Evolution Project, there's usually a reason. Most of the men that have come have either been people that I know or people that they have recommended. Now, one of the stipulations that I think is interesting about men's work is, oftentimes if our life is working really good, rarely do men go like, oh yeah, that'd be great to go work on myself. That's not always true. But oftentimes people that are most willing to engage in conversations because something's going on in their life, whether it's very visible to the outside world or it may not be visible to anyone. One of the biggest things that I hear men say, we do an exercise where we call it a mask off. And you literally stand face to face with a man, you're 8 inches apart and you're looking at each other and just staring and not saying anything. And you want to watch emotions start to come up. Get that, right? Because it's like, it goes from, I had one guy that said, I've never been that close to someone without having an altercation, like something was going to go down and it was bringing up all these emotions. And another guy's like, oh man, I just didn't know what to say. I couldn't keep looking at the person, or I felt all this, And what I find interesting is when after that exercise is done, I ask the men, I say, what is a mask that you wear that you need to give voice to that's not really you? And you know what most men say? That I know what I'm doing, that I have everything figured out.
And I was like, how freeing is it that in many ways, none of us know what we're doing. We're just figuring out as we go.
There's moments where I just want to scream hallelujah because I sit there and go, that's the beginning to your evolution. That's the beginning to your awareness. Awareness creates its own momentum, you know?
So the mask thing, I talk about this all the time in my work.
Yeah.
You and I in the business world, we go to a networking event. We were just talking about, one here prior to, to starting to record. And, you can walk into a room and, I'll be a little crude with this, but it's like you're walking around and it's like, who's got the biggest dick? Who's driving the nicest car? Who's making da.
Yeah.
But the reality is like, the guy that's swinging over here has XYZ happening. This guy's marriage is falling apart. This guy's broke. I mean, there's all this other stuff behind the mask. Right. But then we go up and do that. And you give examples of men that have a really hard time taking that off. And the truth is, no pun intended, the word truth, but the truth sets you free.
Yeah.
But the truth is very painful. And that word is used, that phrase is used a lot with other people. And I take it a step deeper. It's like when we're looking at the man in the mirror, right? The man in the mirror is the hardest person we have ever faced, currently face, or will ever face. It's ourselves. And when we can speak the truth, then when we can, that is the most true to me. That's the most amount of pain that it takes us to keep ripping the mask off till we get to just the core of it. It's like, you know what? In the example you gave, I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm trying to figure this out, or I'm scared to death, or whatever it happens to be. It is so uncomfortable, but the freedom that comes when you can finally just speak it and accept it.
Yeah.
And again, in my journey of where I'm at today, a lot of it was, decisions I made, decisions other people's made, the universe, whatever you want to call it. But like the stripping of the ego or the mask is so painful because who I thought I wasn't accurate. And then working through how other people see me. Well, that's not accurate. Yeah. And so the layers it's layered, and keep going and going. And again, you could have, your example is for the first time, a matter of just how long do they stare at each other?
Well, it feels like eternity.
Yeah.
But it's about 3 to 5 minutes. And they're literally wearing like a COVID mask, which probably is a trigger right there, right? For a lot of people. But
5 minutes of just sitting there all of a sudden brings up so many emotions.
Oh, dude. And I mean, sometimes it's within 30 seconds, And yeah, I just, there's a saying that says that which is most private is most universal. And it's until the truth is spoken where somebody feels like they can actually take off the mask and say, I'm going through this right now in my life and I'm scared. Or, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Like, I mean, whatever the emotion is. And until we can speak truth to it, we're carrying the weight of that. And then, the body keeps the score. We store it in us.
Mm-hmm.
And, you've gone through a beautiful transformation, right? I sit there and think, how much of your weight was stories that you held or comforts that you didn't? Because like, by the way, I'm going through my own transformation with that right now. And I've noticed how much I use food and sex, honestly, and words of affirmation as my blankets.
Yeah.
It's like if I feel crappy, those are the things that I'm like seeking. I'm like, I want a taco. I want Dr. Pepper. I want to go spend time with my wife. I want to call up a friend that's going to make me feel better. And lately, I've just been sitting in it. It's actually probably for the last like 8 to 12 months.
And that's what the freedom is. I mean, I say we're all addicts. I mean, there's so much emphasis on drugs and alcohol or porn, but the reality is like, it can be social media. It can be words of affirmation. It can be Netflix. It can be whatever.
Yeah. Fill in the blank.
We go to do something to not feel. We don't want to feel the pain. And yeah, so for me, most of my life, food was the drug and eating was the addiction.
Yeah.
And, someone very, very close to me, in fact,
by the way, the reason I brought that up is I saw a picture of you and I was like, no way. Because I only know you as you.
Yeah.
So it was like such a disconnect for me. I was like, this was Adam? No, seriously.
Yeah,
like
wild.
That's literally what I thought. And I thought, dude, what a beautiful transformation physically, right? Like, have you ran into people that knew you, that guy, and now they see you and they're like, whoa.
Yeah. I mean, at first when it started to happen, and every once in a while, I saw someone. Oh, yes, I went to what was it? I'm 95. I went to my 30th high school reunion here recently.
Yeah.
And there's people I haven't seen since high school, and I was heavy in high school. That just like blown away.
Yeah.
Didn't even recognize me.
Sure.
I mean, no, it's me, but like, who is this guy? So in that feels, I mean, it feels good. I surprised myself. I mean, even today I posted a video from a year ago, and I can't believe how much I've transformed just in the last 12 months. And you were right, though. A lot of the food that a lot of my weight was emotional.
Yeah.
I was in a relationship with, an incredible woman for about just, over 4 years. Before we started dating, we were in a room, and, and I'm at the time close to 350 pounds. And and she made a comment that I'll never forget. And she was dead on. She goes, your physical body is an outward manifestation of what's going on the inside. And of course I take that she was just talking. There were other people in the room. And of course I took, what are you saying? What are you saying about me?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I was feeling on the inside, but she was right.
Yeah.
And I was, shortly thereafter, I was going through a divorce, and I used food to cope. It just like, I couldn't get enough food into me. And I've shared this multiple times, but I was going through the divorce. I'm in my new house, and my ex-wife, which we're great today, at the time tore into me. I don't even remember what she said. And I just went into a trance, and I just started eating. And then the pain was still there. I DoorDashed even more food. And I sat in my chair and just literally, I don't even remember but I gorged myself to the point to where I was sick. And I sat there so uncomfortable, because when you're eating, you get into that trance. It's just like, I just don't want to feel. I just don't want to feel. And I sat there and bawled my eyes out. And I'm so grateful for that moment. That was my rock bottom moment in my health, because it was at that moment that the pain of my current situation exceeded the pain of change. And the reality is, did it have to get that bad? No. And for men, a lot of times shit has to get bad before we actually change. And it doesn't have to be that way. And that's a big reason I'm so open about all of my stuff, is it's like, hey, listen, you don't have to go to the depths of hell in every pillar of your life in order to get where you want to get. But the truth of the matter is, I posted a video this morning about that. But if you have cracks in your foundation and you do not address them, those cracks get bigger and bigger and bigger over time. So I'll get to it tomorrow. I'll do it. This is where addiction kicks in. Like, I'll get to it. I'll feel it. I don't want, versus I'm going to go have the hard conversation. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to take ownership. I'm going to take accountability. I'm going to tell the truth. I'm going to, whatever it is, those cracks will not go away. You cannot outrun the truth. I have learned that the hard way. And I know that so intimately when I see in other people. That is a universal truth, regardless of what you feel, that it will manifest, even if it's not spoken. If you're out of integrity, I'm telling you, there's a cost to it, and it will catch up to you, and it might be decades. It might not even, you might not even say it, but it's manifested in other parts of your life. If your business is suffering or you're struggling and you've got this little betrayal or this whatever over here that nobody knows about, even though you decided not to, or you've got this porn, it doesn't matter what it is. If you're not addressing it, it will affect energetically other parts of your life. But here's the beautiful thing, the minute you take ownership, boom, everything shifts. Yeah. Everything changes. Everything.
Yeah, dude, I like to snap my fingers when I just really feel something. And there's so many things that I just was feeling. One, I could feel your energy about it. And I love that. One of the things I just want to give you a compliment. One of the things I love about when I'm around good people, and I put you in the category of good people, is I walk away and want to be a better person. Some of that energy, right? It receives into me, and then there's kind of this like little halo with me, and I go, oh, I could be a little bit better. Got a little bit more awareness, right?
I'll receive the compliment.
Yeah, and so I feel that. One of the questions, I was in a really good conversation with a friend of mine, and he's gone through beautiful changes. I mean, over a year ago, he sold his company, and you know what happens after people sell their company?
Oh yeah,
the dip.
Oh yeah,
because now all of a sudden the tension that they had there, that so much identity around that is gone. And so he went through that, well, who am I? And he got really into breath work. And in a breath work session, he got this feeling like, do nothing until you feel like you're supposed to do something. So he basically, his wife went back to school. He's helping take care of the kids. And he says, it was the most uncomfortable 6 months of my life, because all the things that I had built identity around were gone away. And now I was like, I was doing the things that were supposed to be for my wife, right? I was making dinner. I was supporting her and going to these things. I was picking up the kids from school. And he's like, all this stuff was, my ego was just getting obliterated, right? And long story short, like, all of a sudden these things just started coming in his life. And he was like, oh, I'm ready to receive this now. And what was interesting, he's in a spot now where like there's things that he said, there is no way these things could have existed in my life if I didn't go through the last year of my life.
Yeah.
And he was just talking about, he says, I think life is constantly asking us, how much truth are you willing to receive? Because that really is at the core of what you said.
I'm going to hack the quote, but I've seen it recently. A lot of people have been posting it lately. It's the level of growth or expansion that you will experience is in direct correlation to the amount of truth you're able to accept about yourself.
That's it. That's it. So the question is like, how much can you really sit? How much truth can you really receive? And start doing it. I mean, do the life wheel, pick the life wheel and say, all right, what's actually true? And what I found is when I sit in stillness, one of the things I love about cold plunging and saunas is that it is just a presence practice for me. And what I've noticed is some of my best thoughts come when I literally am sitting doing nothing. And I'm just vibing. And I can actually feel energy. When I do a really good sauna or a cold plunge session, and then I'm sitting in kind of what I call the 5 to 8 minute halo effect after you get out of a cold plunge, and then I just sit outside in the sun.
Yep.
I can literally sometimes feel like a vibration coming through my body. And that's just kind of like a gentle reminder to me where I'm like, we just talked about this earlier today, the illusion of control. It's just a gentle reminder that everything is energy, everything is frequency. And it just checks me to go, what's the emotion or the energy that I'm holding towards this thing, towards this person, towards, this self-limiting belief? And then that's where the work starts to reveal itself. Because I go, oh, it has nothing to do with Adam. Adam's actually just the person that God's thrown in my life to go, hey, dude, you really want a girl, Bryan? I'm going to throw Adam in your way. And I'm like, you know what? These are all the things. And I used to do this, right?
Yeah, I want to echo what you said. And I don't think I've even talked much about this, but what's coming up is the power of meditation and the power of stillness. Now, it's becoming a much more mainstream. You're seeing a lot of people talk about it. I mean, what's coming to mind is I remember years ago, this is probably, 8 years ago, I had a buddy of mine that was inviting me to go do the float thing, whatever the float tubes. I can't remember what they're called. Anyway, so he's like, yeah, you just float in salt water. You just do it, right? So we go up to this place. It was way up north. We get into the float pods or whatever. Anyway, so we're in there, right? Butt ass naked, laying in this water for like an hour. And I'm like, and Yanni's, I could just picture like Yanni, the dude that whatever, plays the clarinet or whatever. He's like, it's on freaking replay for an hour.
So this is like
so I'm sitting in there. I'm sitting in there trying to relax, and I can't because I keep picturing this. I'm sitting here naked, and I'm just having this whole thing around. I cannot relax. And I think I finally just could even float in it for like 2 seconds, and then my time was up. And then when introduced to meditation, I couldn't even sit still for 2 seconds or 5 minutes, like to do that. But like as I've implemented stillness and quietness into my daily routine, there is so much magic. There are answers there. It's a reset button. It's, I communicate with God. There is so many answers that we can find in life in silence. You use the word energy. It is such a powerful tool and modality. And again, for those of you that are doing it, keep doing it. And for those of you who haven't, I'm inviting you to lean into that because it is such a powerful tool that we have accessibility to at any point. And we're all ADD'd out because of our, we're on computers and we're on the phone and we're like constantly dopamine overload. And then when we go to the withdrawal and just sitting in that, it can be, if you've never done it, to sit still for 5 minutes with nothing and then just in silence for 10, 15. And that's what I also love about cold water therapy or sauna, because it's like, it's just me and me. So I got to sit with me.
Yeah. And one thing I really love about cold water more than heat, They do actually two totally different things for me. Heat is kind of like a blanket. You know, a great exercise if you want to, you know, this is a really simple one, but take a warm shower, take a nice warm shower. And then at the very end, you know, the last 30 seconds, crank it to the cold and just see what happens, right? But what I noticed about it is the warm is like a blanket, it's comfort, but my mind, it just it lets my mind wander. It's great, right? A sauna does that for me. When I sit in a sauna, I just sit with the waves of heat coming in, but a cold plunge demands my presence. When I get into a cold plunge, I used to get in and think, okay, mentally I'm going to go to a warm beach in Hawaii and it's not really cold, like mind over matter. But what I realized is I was robbing myself of the experience of the presence of the moment. And now when I get into a cold plunge, if I'm in a place where I can do it, I like in my backyard or when I'm doing a men's retreat, I will scream, will be the first one. For me, anger and like tapping into that, that's a gateway emotion for me in a healthy way. But like I'll go under and I'll submerge myself and I hope it's cold as hell. And I'll sit there and I'll come out of it and I'll go. And dude, it connects me. Like it's crazy. Cause like I don't scream ever, right? But, and then I just sit in it and I'm like, what am I feeling right now? And then it becomes a surrender experiment. Cause then I go, okay, well, how quickly can I surrender to this? What would it look like more? And I said, and after about 30 seconds, do you know what happens? Just like emotions and waves. It goes, it comes, it goes, it passes. And then all of a sudden I have this massive just presence for 2 to 3 minutes where I'm just like, I'm connected to my breath. And it is a massive, I mean, it's so interesting. I have such a belief in cold plunges, probably more than saunas, because it's just such a great presence exercise. And you can do it in your shower, which is good, but just notice, which is a great presence exercise. Just start to notice like what's coming up for you when you feel these things. And cold water is
Medicine.
It's one of those magic. And you know what's great? Think about it. Indians, right? Native Americans. Guess what they did? Long time ago. They'd sit in sweat lodges and they'd go to cold rivers every morning and get in the water. Like these are the magic tricks that are right in front of us. Isn't it funny? We're reverting back to all these things that were right in front of us for our ancestors and, you know, way back when. It's like we're coming back to these things in a world where we are more technologically advanced and connected than we've ever been. We're seeking the very things that our ancestors knew all along.
Yeah,
it's so wild.
I know it's wild. You know, there's a common theme of everything we're talking about thus far, right? The cold water, it's uncomfortable, right? Sauna can be hot, sweating your ass off. You know, some of the, you know, that taking the mask off with the men of the Evolution Project and doing so. You know, one of the things that with the men that I work with, and even in as much for me as anybody too, is rewriting the story or the narrative around pain, around hard, around uncomfortableness. You know, we talked a little bit about, you know, control, right? And, you know, we were catching up, you know, before we started recording, I mentioned like, I'm really practicing this intentional season of practicing just what is. The only thing I have any control is over me and my reaction to it. Besides that, I have no control over, frankly, anything else. That's the reality. And so when I'm in a painful or uncomfortable position, I'm really working consciously as best as I can. And I still fall back into old patterns, but like, okay, I'm choosing to believe this is for my good. Yeah. What's the lesson? What do I need to do? Why am I feeling this way? And then, okay, so if I'm feeling this, I have plenty of life experiences of a lot of tough, painful experiences that literally on the other side of it, it was 100% of the time I can look back and it was for my good. So if I happen to be in it right now, why would this be any different? Why would this be any different?
Why would it be any different, Adam?
You know, and well, exactly, right? Easier said than done when you're in it.
I know.
And I always want to extend grace when someone, you know, one thing I don't like too is people will be like in the just literally the shit storm of their life and they're like, it's so good, you're going to love it. It's like, or someone's going through a divorce, like, no, brother, I see you, or sister, like, yeah, like, first of all, like, I want to respect and honor the pain that you're in. Like, I do not want to negate or take away from what you're experiencing. For me to tell you, like, this is a beautiful experience in the moment when you're in the depths of hell,
Yeah.
I frankly feel like that's actually not helping somebody feel seen. One of the most, in my own challenging purposes, I didn't want to be fixed. I more and more think it's going to be okay. I wanted a shoulder that I could cry on. I wanted someone to hold me and just be held. And also, both things can be true at the same time. And I think it's understanding. I think most people are well intended and they're like, well, this and that. But the reality is sometimes you just need a hug. Sometimes I don't need to fix anything. I don't need to suggest or tell or do whatever. I'm just going to be here and let you just be. And if you want to be a complete shit show in the moment, I'm going to hold you and allow you to be that.
Can we bring up masculinity right now?
Let's do it.
I feel like this is, you did a perfect segue into masculinity.
Which is a hot button today. Lots of people, lots of different opinions of what that is, right? Toxic masculinity, women telling men, men telling women, whatever. But yeah, let's go there. I love this.
So what you just hit on strikes a chord with me. Because for a period of my life, a long period of my life actually, I had a narrative. I had an identity around that. I actually gave it a name, and the name was, I am the most positive person I know. And there was absolutely attachment that I had around what that looked like. And then there was absolutely a narrative that I would re-kick in it's like, how can I take this right now and be the most positive person I know, right? And I wore it as a badge, right? But what I found is I started to do the work, it gave me a bandwidth of emotions that I could actually sit in and feel. Constricted it quite a bit, right? Because if I was with someone that was going through
you had to be the guy.
What did I want to do? I just wanted to make them feel good because I didn't like how I felt with their emotion. I'm like, ugh. But really what it was is I hadn't done the work enough to go, Adam, you can actually show up however, you can bring it whatever you want. I'm here for it. And it's what's appropriate in the moment. Like that's one of the things that I think is so interesting about masculinity. Someone explained it to me once. It's like the lantern is the container, which is masculinity. The flame is femininity. It's got emotion, it's passion, it's creation. It's got a lot of juice to it. But a fire left untamed could burn a whole mountainside down, right? And the same with but inside of a healthy container, it's a beautiful thing. And so like what I think about masculinity when I go this, it's like, it's so much an inner game, and it gets to a place where it's actually your presence. So like, have you ever been in a container where you've seen two men cry and hug? Have you ever seen another man?
Oh, yeah, multiple times.
And another man like hold another man for a period of time? Now the outside looking in, they're like, that sounds really gay, right? But the actual truth is like, it's not gay at all actually, because sometimes that's the bandwidth of emotions, right? Rage is another emotion that like some men have to go through, right? Because they're just so angry and pissed and they've held it in for so long and they don't know where to do it. Do you know how much of a man you have to be when someone's raging to hold it? And I'm not saying like receiving their rage. I'm just saying being in a space where they can express it as much as they can express their sadness. The bandwidth is expansive. And so for me, as I really started to dive into this, what I used to think masculinity was like tough guy, right? Strong, like leader, winner, like all this stuff. And by the way, that can actually still be true, but it's the other side of it where it says, how far do you want to go? You have a level of compassion through direct experience that you've lived that allows you to be a greater container for other people. You have compassion and empathy that is deep. It's a deep well. And by the way, compassion and empathy can be an incredible bond. It can be an incredible bonding thing. So can doing hard shit together. Look at the people that you love the most and you trust. Usually because you've gone through some things that are hard. I remember one time I signed up for this SEAL Fit experience. And I went down to Encinitas, California, and I was with a guy named Mark Devine, who was an ex-Navy SEAL. And it was like, I would say it was like a bunch of business people that got together that wanted to be tested physically. And this guy's a Navy SEAL, so by the way, all the coaches are Navy SEALs. These guys could smoke all of us. These guys are on a different level. But what I learned about that experience, there was two things I learned that were really interesting. Well, lots of things. But one of the things is the framework is they would grind us. They would physically exhaust us. And then they would take us and teach us something. And then we kind of recover. And then guess what they do? Next one. Let's go. We're going to the beach. It's 2:00 in the morning. We're going to go get in the cold ocean. And you're going to make sand. They call them sand buddies or something. Sand cookies. And you'd get sand all over your body. And then you'd go ruck for a freaking bunch of miles. And you're just bleeding everywhere. And then what'd they do? Oh, there's a fire at the end of it. And then everyone's around the fire. What do we learn today? It's 4:00 in the morning. You're like, oh, right? There was a part of the exercise where I could not do another pull-up. I was trying as hard as I could, and it just wasn't there. And I looked at this guy, dude, and I was feeling every emotion. I wanted to cry. I wanted to give up. I was smoked. We'd been getting our ass kicked for the last day and a half. And he looks at me and he smiles and he goes, think of how hard you had to work to get to this moment. Don't waste it. And I was like, oof. And it shifted my paradigm completely. And I said, can you help me finish these pull-ups? And guess what he did? He grabbed my feet, and I bet you he pretty much was lifting me to get the thing. But I finished the thing. And I have a bond with that guy that we shared a moment, and I know what that means. And I forever have a thing in my heart where I go, think of how hard. And so whenever I'm in a moment where I'm like, can I do this? I sit there and think of how hard you worked to get to this moment. Think of everything that had happened to get to this moment. Don't give up now. Keep going. And it's just like, it's sacred, man, when you can have those experiences. And so one of the things is I believe that through direct experience is how we ultimately change. We don't live our lives in our head. We do sometimes, right? There's a quote by Cynic that says, we suffer more in imagination than in actuality. And so my thing is like, can I get people in containers where I can take them out of their head, out of their environment, and show them somebody that says, look at how hard you work to get here. Don't waste it.
So based off your own life experiences, right? You're working with 160 plus men through all of these retreats, kind of bringing it full circle back to masculinity, right? How would you can you define it?
Ooh, good question.
And actually, I'm going to say it because I think it's different for everybody, and then there needs to be space for you, for Bryan. What does masculinity mean to you? Or maybe let me rephrase. What characteristics of masculinity do you want to embody for you?
Yeah, there's a poem at the beginning of every evolution project. We read a poem, and it's called "The Invitation" by Oriah. I would think that I'd have it memorized by now, but I don't. And if you were to ask me what the poem really says, this is what it says. It says, can you sit with everything? Can you sit with your joy? Can you sit with your pain? Can you sit with your disappointment? Can you let somebody down and still be true to yourself? Can you have everything fall apart and you are just tattered and beaten and you get up the next morning and say, I got to show up. I got kids I got to take care of. And it goes through each one of these things. And it's like a self-check for me that says, will I still show up no matter what? And one of the things I found about masculinity, and this is where it's going to sound like a twist, but I think this is what it comes down to. Masculinity is nothing more than integrity and self-love.
First time I've heard that.
Yeah. And that's why I said it's going to be a twist. It's not going to be what you've heard. And the reason I say that is it's integrity with yourself. Because when you have integrity with yourself, there's a presence that you bring. I've been around men where I knew immediately. This summer, I went on a horseback trip with 12 other men. There's a man named Stewart that runs it. This guy is a cowboy. You touch his hands, I mean, they're leather. I mean, he shakes you. He looks you right through your soul. And I immediately met that guy and I said, this guy has experienced things in life that has taught him things that I can trust this man 100%. And he hadn't said anything yet. He had so much integrity with who he was, his I am, that it radiated in his presence of who his frequency was. And the number one challenge that I see most men, if you really boil it down, they don't love themselves.
Going back to what we talked about earlier, and hence they wear a mask. I was that guy for most of my life.
Because the thing is, if I achieve enough, then you'll love me. Then I'll be good enough.
Yeah, that's a slippery slope that has no end in sight.
It's right. It's the what do they call it? A ghost something. It was so good. I can't remember the scene in Pirates of the Caribbean where it's a great scene. She meets with Captain Barbossa in the shell of the ship. And he's got this spread. And I mean, it's got pig, it's got everything on there. And he's talking to her about the story of the gold coins, the Aztec gold coins. And that they took these Aztec gold coins and they were cursed. And they cannot rest until they have found all of the Aztec gold coins. And the coins call them. And then he's eating and he goes, but this is all meaningless to me. He says, I can't taste the food anymore. And I've become a slave of this. And then all of a sudden he opens the door and it's a full moon and she sees that everyone on the ship is dead. And they're just these soulless people in bodies just drudging through trying to find this last coin because that's all they want. They just want rest. The gold coin for most men is, am I good enough and will people still love me?
Yeah.
If you really knew me, Adam.
Yeah, if you really knew who I was.
If you really knew who I was, would you still love me? Would you still be my friend? The ultimate mask.
Yeah, and having gone through my own stripping of masks, multiple, right? It's interesting. I'm for my closest people, I can't connect with anyone that's wearing a mask. I'm not interested for the people closest to me. And that's the space. I mean, one of the greatest gifts that I have to offer the men in the world, frankly, is that I can connect in pain because of my own, right? And I'm living proof that, like, no matter what's happened, you can change, you can shift. Like, the past hasn't defined you. You can work through all these different things. If you've been out of integrity, you can get back into integrity. If you're wearing a mask, you can take the mask off and then all of a sudden discover who you are and realize I don't even need a mask.
Right.
And and yet the journey and the process to get there is extremely painful and it's extremely uncomfortable. And I loved your example because integrity is a big thing for me.
Yeah.
And authenticity, right? A lot of the mask, the anger, whatever, like, full circle back to the whole concept of masculinity. Like, to me, how I want to be is, you take a spirit animal as a bear, right? A bear can be like, you see, we'll just take what you see on social video. You can see the playful bear, the bear playing around. Like, I can be fun. Like, I can be gentle and whatever, but it's like, but if you cross the bear, if there's a boundary that's crossed, I'm going to rip your head off. Not really, but figuratively. What am I saying? Not figuratively, but literally. Like, the truth is, like, I want to be gentle, but I also want to be strong. And, like, even when I work with guys, like, I'll invite and I'll do stuff, but, like, if there's a boundary that's crossed or someone's lying or, like, they're not, it's like, I will push, but I'm not going to be an asshole. Unfortunately, in the world today, in the world of masculinity, a lot of these alpha guys
It's
that are out there,
soft.
it's like, it's F you do this, And the truth is, there's some people that actually connect with it. And frankly, there are some men, and I've been seasons in my life, like, I don't connect in that language all the time, but there's moments where I need to get checked. And even if it's just like, hey, blubbity blubber, whatever they want to say about it, like, it might sting, it might hurt, but you don't have to be that way all the time. But there have been moments where I have been checked and I've needed it. My oldest son checks me all the time. I've asked him to be that guy.
Yeah.
And it stings sometimes. But I'm grateful for it because I want to be a better version. I want to be stung. I would rather get stung than get burned. I've spent too many seasons and have too many burning at the stake moments. The analogy I give is like, I want a life where I'm bowling every day. Let's say life is bowling. And instead of, I want bumper rails. I'm building bumper rails into my life, which means like a little kid, goes back and forth across the bumper rails. So like the ball might hit the side. Ooh, it's going to sting. Like I'm okay getting burned. I'm okay getting like that. And then there's this, then I overcorrect over here. It's like, ooh, I don't like that. But I'll take a little 1st degree burn. I'm done with 7th degree burns. Like done. Like, and so that's the world that I want to kind of function in. And so in the role that I play, right, is, as a coach and mentor for the men that I work with, it's like, yeah, I'm going to hold you accountable. If it's your word, I'm going to help you hold that. I will push you, but I'm also going to meet you in your heart space. Like I'm going to hold space for you to be a complete shit show or work through it. I'm a safe person that you can say anything. And like, I'm not going to like, look, here's all of my stuff. That's the beauty of just being like, when you finally get naked, if you will, in front of, everything I went through was very public and a lot of people, it's just like when you're finally sitting there naked in front of 65,000 people at the stadium, it's just like, well, here you go. And here's the beautiful thing about telling the truth. When you can walk into a room, even if people have stories about you or whatever, but no one is saying anything about me that I've done or haven't done that I haven't owned. And that is freeing. I can't control what the people think. There's plenty of people that don't like me or whatever, but the freedom that I have to walk into a room and it's like where two people are talking, and that moment you can tell someone's talking about you or whatever. And then if you've ever had that thought, like, well, wonder if they know this or wonder if they said this or who could they be saying this? Like I've spoken to all of it publicly, privately for all the stuff that I've done. And so I'm like, so they could say, hey, I heard he did this or said this. Like, yeah, oh yeah, he's already talked about that. He already owned that. Like it's free. It is freeing, priceless, but very painful to get there.
Yeah. Most people won't.
Yeah.
You said something really interesting when we were talking before the podcast. You were like, most people don't understand what they're saying when they're saying, I want to change. They don't understand what that actually means. They don't understand like to the level, like
there's levels to it.
Yeah. I remember there's this story one time where this guy goes to a golf course and, Tiger Woods happens to be there and he drives the ball, 400 and whatever yards. I don't know how far Tiger hits it. And he leans over to his friend. He says, man, I wish I could play golf like Tiger Woods. His friend leans over to him. He says, no, you don't. You don't know what it took for Tiger Woods to get to the level that he plays at to play golf.
Which the irony in this whole thing too is my belief is that, again, whatever you want, I believe is possible no matter what's happened. And my belief is that the only difference between someone that made it, it doesn't matter what it is, or hasn't made it, is that the person that has made it, whatever made it is, has been willing to do something and willing to put the work in that the other person hasn't, period. Today we were talking, the podcast earlier about like the weight loss that I've experienced. I'm down nearly 140 pounds from my high.
You're half of who you used to be.
Yeah, it's wild. There's levels to this. So literally, I posted this morning. I've been pushing. I decided just over a year ago that I was going to train for a men's physique show.
You're close, bro.
Well, so ready to go with my coach. The show's in less than 2 weeks. And I'm pushing my body to limits that I'm already in uncharted territory.
Well, bro, I remember when you were talking, you were like 900 calorie.
Oh yeah. It's
a day.
The prep for this, how many, it's like 4 hours of commitment. It's let's be clear. Like as you get towards the end of this isn't healthy long-term. It's like you're getting ready for the show, right? Well, the truth is the two of us decided like, you know what? Like I'm not going to be ready. Because the reality is when I get on stage, the judges don't, let me back up. So I made a commitment to this coach. He's very, very, very well known. When I first reached out to him, it was really important to him. He goes, I'm only going to work with people that want to compete. He said that. And so I said, okay, if I commit to work with you, I will commit to do the work and I will commit to compete, not just to enter. That was my commitment. So could I enter the show here in a couple weeks? Sure. But I'm not, the transformation is incredible. But am I stage ready to compete? Can I get there in 2 weeks? It's touch and go. The downside to this is the next show is 6 months from now. So you can only imagine what's going on in my head to like 6 months. Now, granted, I'm not going to be doing what I'm doing now for another 6 months. It's like it adjusts based off the time. But the reality is when we talk about change, there's levels. So to go from over 350 pounds and then just like the level, I mean, there's levels to this. So there's been moments where I'm like, if I look at where I was and where I am today, it's like, or where I was before, it's like, this is incredible. I am so healthy. I'm healthier than like 90% of the guys my age. This is incredible. I was overweight most of my life, but then the way my brain, I'm like, well, what else is possible? So then I just keep pushing through these limiting beliefs and seeing what's possible. And so this whole idea, when I first came up with this wild idea, I'm like, to actually do this. And again, I didn't realize what I was committing to. The commitment level of anyone that does this or has done this, mad respect, because the discipline is next level. It's brought up all my triggers with food. It's brought up all the things that I thought I've healed through. It has brought up so much emotions and things as I've been working through this, and I've stumbled. I haven't been perfect with this, but I keep pushing through barriers that I didn't even know was possible. And so again, when someone says they want something, are they really willing to do it? And again, here I am trying to prove it in my body that like I can go from being morbidly obese to being not only shredded on stage, but to competing. And I'm not ready. And I've got some more time and I'm going to do it. Like I'm committed to it. I want to prove it to myself first and foremost. I want to show my kids. And I also want to show people the work that I do. They're like, look, if I can do this, anybody can do it. The only difference between me and somebody else is I've been willing to make the steps, to make the sacrifices, to be disciplined, to have some FOMO around food or hanging out or whatever, because the goal of what I want exceeds what my temporary desires, if you will. So when we talk about change, and that this formula applies to all parts of our life. If we see somebody in business that's just crushing it, it's like, I want that. I want to do that. Okay. Are you willing to do what it takes to get there? Are you willing to fail potentially multiple times? Are you willing to keep going? Are you willing to mortgage your house and do all this and to put strain in all the other parts of your life to go after whatever your dream have? Are you willing to do that? You want the marriage of the most epic marriage. Are you willing to have the hard conversations? Are you willing to actually own your shit? Are you willing to like do what's necessary to get there? Because it's there. It's all there. You can have it all, but you've got to be willing. So this is the challenge in my role and the role you work with men and the world in general is everybody points a finger and wants this or calls it lucky or whatever. The reality is like the formula to all of these things is the same. It's discipline, it's consistency, and it's pushing through limiting beliefs. It's pushing through the barriers that are holding you back. Most of them aren't real anyway.
Yeah.
They're just stories. And as you kind of push through that, and it's the uncomfortableness, and it's how uncomfortable are you willing to be?
Yeah. How much truth can you receive
there,
and how much discomfort can you how much resistance can you push through and discomfort can you sit with? Have you ever seen that energy scale where it talks about like words and frequencies to the word?
Yep.
And like low level is like shame and guilt.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like anger. I can't remember them all. But do you know where the energy shifts in the scale?
What emotion?
Willingness and courage.
Yeah.
I had this epiphany at the last Evolution Project. So by my old standards, going into it, I felt like I failed as much as I tried. I normally will only do an Evolution Project if there's 6 people that are paying that are coming. Yeah. And I was under that threshold. And 3 weeks before, I was like, do I cancel this? Do I not? And I felt like I was supposed to do it. So I said, okay, I'm going to do it. And then I found myself like the week before, like in a story again. I was like, dude, am I really going to do this? And I even found myself driving up the night before, getting everything ready. I'm like, dude, what the hell am I doing? And I said, no, I made a commitment. I show up. It doesn't matter how many people show up because really I'm just showing up. I need to show up for me. Like that's really what it is. And
that's the core of it. where you just nailed it.
Yeah.
I had a sales call this morning with a company I work with. It's like at the end of the day, it's like you have all these goals. At the end of the day, it's like, what commitment did you make?
Yep.
To yourself?
That's right.
Did you fall through on that? It's base hits. It's the ripple effect. And it's like, and so you have one that you only have a couple people, whatever, but you fall through on the commitment. That's powerful. It's energy. That's what creates the momentum. And then all of a sudden, the fact that you did that, then the universe rewards you for following through on your own word.
That's well, and here was the gift. The gift was, we do different modalities when we're up there. One of them is breath work. At the end of the breath work session, I journaled. And I was using something that I've learned called DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy, and it's really just feeling and giving voice to your emotions. That's what it is. And usually in breath work, things will come up, and I spread all 100 words out on the floor, and I asked them to pick something that they've been feeling or experiencing lately, and bring it into their breath work session, and just see what happens. Just hold it loosely. And so the words that I picked were surrender, wonder, and excitement. And the truth is like I was fighting surrender so hard, like, because I had all this story, going in the evolution project. Should I do it, right? This time. And I said, what would happen if I had childlike wonder and I everything was happening for me in excitement, right? So I have this breathwork session where I just feel opened by this. And then I start journaling. And what came up for me was the serenity prayer. And that's been staring in my face for, it's God grant me the serenity to, let go of the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference, right? And it was like the first time I like that came up for me, and I wrote it down in my journal, and it was like the first time I'd ever heard it. And I was like, dude, that's exactly where I'm at right now. Like, that's what I'm experiencing. The serenity of surrender to embracing the courage to say, I'm going to show up because I made a commitment to myself. And then the wisdom to know the difference when it's my ego saying, okay, Bryan, because the ego's not bad all the time, okay? But the ego of like, well, what is everybody else going to think? This, da, versus like, what's actually true? I love myself, and I'm going to show up, and my life matters, and this experience matters. And I don't care if 5 guys show up, or I don't care if 15 guys show up, because the truth is I only can control how I show up. And let's see what happens when I show up in this experience we're going to create collectively together by individually saying we're all going to show up and play full out. What happens when men get together and do real work and say, I'm going to show up for all of it? Amazing, beautiful things can happen. And then there starts to become this frequency and symbiotic thing that starts going where the energy is just, I like to think of it like a cosmic energetic tennis match. It's like you're throwing this up over there. I'm receiving it over here. I'm throwing this up over here, right? And it's just like magic happens. And so this to me is like, it's just one of the things I love about creating sacred spaces. And what makes something sacred, Adam? It's the meaning that I give to it, right? And the reverence I bring to it. That's really what makes something. So like this could be sacred today.
I love that. That's a great definition, because as you're saying that, I'm thinking about my cup of coffee in the morning and my ritual. It's very sacred.
It's sacred.
Right? The rituals are very sacred to me. Yeah.
The meaning you give to it, right? And the reverence or presence you bring to it.
I love that. Reverence and presence.
And so what's so cool is like my relationships can be sacred. My interactions throughout the whole day can be sacred. My time with myself can be sacred. My journal entry can be sacred. And now all of a sudden I'm playing a different frequency.
I'll give you credit for that, but I'm going to take that. I'm going to steal that.
Yeah. Well, please do sprinkle
you
it
probably
around.
Stole from somebody else, but like that's a great, beautiful definition of the word sacred. Cause I like that word, and I use that word. I'm going to actually use it more.
Yeah.
Bryan, tell us, as we wrap up here.
Yeah.
How do men find, and we'll put it in the show notes as well, but where can people find more if they were interested in finding the Evolution Project, following you on social? Like you're mostly on social media. You've got a website. Like where do people find it?
So Instagram is Evolution Project, right? It's pretty easy to find, The Evolution Project. And our website is myevolutionproject.com. And on there, right now we do a few activities or gatherings or retreats, whatever you want to call it. We do 2 of those in the spring, and then we do 2 in the fall. But this next year, I'm actually really excited to say this. And if you feel called to it, I will be getting more details on the website for this. But we're in the process of doing a father and son's humanitarian trip to Mexico, and we're going to build a school. And then we're also going to go see ruins. So it's going to be 7 days. We will be living with indigenous people, building a school. And my goal is to fully fund the school. The school is $50,000 to fund a school. So my goal is to fund a school and bring down 20, 25 men with their sons and go do work that is hard ass work. We're mixing cement by hand, carrying it in plastic buckets. You will have blisters. Your shoulders will be sore. Your back will be sore at the end of the day. And we're sleeping there. So we're not driving back and forth. And we're going to work our asses off for 3 days, and we're going to do work. And we're going to eat food with them, right? We're going to be with these people up in the mountains in just a beautiful place of Mexico. I've already gone with my wife and this guy named Andrew that I'm doing this with.
I love it.
And then we're also doing a horseback trip up to the Bridger Teton National Forest at the end of July. And you might be wondering, Bryan, why are you going to do this? I just believe that through direct experience, that's like what opens the portal. And then I believe the work, right? Like the work that you're doing, like that's when the rubber hits the road. It's the integration. But there needs to be a crack. There needs to be an opening. There's this beautiful line by Leonard Bernstein. And he said, the crack is where the light gets in. And it's like, there usually is a crack or a breakdown for a build-up. And I just believe that the physical body is nothing more than a portal that we can have an enhanced experience of life when we are connected to a mindfulness about it. Like you're having an experience with your body right now. And I believe this is part of the God thing. God wants us to experience this avatar that we call our body. All of it. Because that's how I'm experiencing life. And there's a frequency to my body. You're experiencing life in a completely different frequency than you were before. And it's manifesting in a totally different way. So everything is energy. I know I just went off on a really big tangent, but what I want to say is I would love for you to join. If you've got a son and you're like, dude, I want to go do hard work and experience a place with my son. By the way, the ruins that we go to, they're not the Chichen Itza ruins that everybody goes to. It's like more off the beaten path ruins. Like we're getting to climb up ruins, and it's freaking awesome.
I love it.
So
and again, as we wrap up, you're getting to know kind of Bryan's energy, and I love our conversations. I love how open you were, and I'm just a huge fan and advocate for anyone in the men's work and the work that you do. And I personally have not attended. I plan on attending to one of your events. Yeah, I was just gonna, you beat me. I was getting there, next year. But I can tell you that the energy and the intention that he puts into it, and again, full circle, you just wrap things up here too, is, for me, Bryan's a man of integrity. He doesn't take the work he does lightly, and he shows up that way, not only with the men that he works with, but also in his day-to-day life. So Bryan, thank you so much. It's been an honor. And thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time on the Burnup Podcast.